you all. Thank you so much for joining me this week on the E to Me podcast. Obviously, this is Alicia, and I am so happy to have Raheem Nelson back on the podcast. Like, it's always a pleasure to have you back here on the podcast. And I think the first time we talked about liberation, and then you introduced us to some really cool, a cool hip hop artist that you were doing work with, and now you're back with something like more amazing things. Like, you're always doing awesome stuff. So
Thank you.
it's so exciting to have you back. Thank you so much for being here on the podcast. Thank you so much, Raheem.
Of course, good to be here.
I am so happy that you're back. It's so funny because Raheem reached out to me. He was like, "I want to touch base with you," and I'm doing some really cool stuff. And so I was like, "I'm game as always," because
Cool.
seriously, because I think even just starting back to that first episode that we did, just like hearing you talk about the things that you've done on your journey to, kind of like evolving into who you are and what you're planning on doing in the future. It's just so amazing to see, that actual path and how things are. You say you're doing something and it happens. And I think
Yeah.
like seriously, I don't know that a lot of people are on, not that they're not on that journey, but I think it's hard for some people to see that if you keep going, things will actually manifest and, it will happen and aspire. So I'm just impressed. I'm just totally impressed by you and just in awe of all the awesome stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. So, where would you like to start? So many different places we could go.
That's the thing. It's like, oh my gosh. Because here's the thing, y'all. Raheem reached out to me. He is doing so many awesome things. One, I do want to kind of like, if we can talk about the hip hop.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, this is so interesting to me. So Raheem was a part of, and let me know if I'm misspeaking, totally let me know.
Mhm.
You were a part of the Trinity International Hip Hop Festival this year, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And if you could just let us know what that's about and like how became a part of this whole festival in general.
Sure. So, Trinity Hip Hop Festival has been going on for a while now, like many, many
Okay.
years. And I was involved with them, I guess, when I was a teenager. And I had a friendship with a really cool Cape Verdean artist who was by the name of Shokanti. And he invited me to paint live on stage while he performed. So that was
Wow.
like when I first started getting into creating live art and really getting comfortable with creating artwork in front of an audience. And I just remember towards the end of the performance, like I just kind of zoned out. And like he had to call me a few times because like his set had ended and I was still painting. I'm like, oh, you're done. Okay, it's like time's up. But it was so fun getting into that mode of just painting and working. So fast forward to this past April, I got involved with Trinity College again through just being at work and everything. And I'm a marketing director for the Milford Arts Council. I was talking to a store owner, and she had a friend that actually, I believe, was a professor at Trinity College. And at this point, I had self-published this art book that I created with my friend Skyzoo, called The Mind of a Saint Illustrated, which we had talked about before.
Yes.
And I was kind of shopping it around to kind of do like a book signing type of thing. And it just kind of turned into so much more. So I talked to this lady from Trinity. She connected me with one of the event organizers for the Trinity Hip Hop Festival. And I just pitched to him the idea. I was like, hey, like, I would really like to work with you on this project. Could you use like programming and stuff like that? So I wanted to see if they were able to bring out Skyzoo from Atlanta, fly him out and everything, pay him to do a workshop, perform, for us to do the book signing, and just kind of be able to share with the students and the attendees that we did this project. He's an amazing artist in his own right, so I have him perform. So I just pitched to them like the rates for the flight, travel, hotel, all that stuff, and just what we would charge for the workshop and the performances. And they just greenlight everything.
Wow.
So we were kind of able to come in on like sort of the tail end of the planning and make this happen because they had a headliner, but Skyzoo became the co-headliner for the festival. And there are artists from Japan, New York, like all over the place, even like South Africa, I believe. So it was like a legitimate international hip hop festival. So I think most exciting for me was the fact that I envisioned this programming, this experience, and being able to add to this festival because I was a big fan of it anyway. I was like, oh, it'd be cool to do something like that. And I had the art book, and I just wanted to be able to talk to people about it, share with people about it. And it just turned into this amazing thing where Sky Zoo and I pretty much spent, I believe it was like 4 days. We were on like floors that were like one level above each other. So we were just breaking bread, grabbing dinner, connecting, and like we're close anyway, like before this, but just being able to, I guess, be seen as a peer, not just by him, but by like the attendees and the students. So like a lot of late nights we were going to ciphers and parties, after parties, and then having the workshop, and then there was a big concert. His set was amazing, and it was just kind of like getting a behind the scenes experience, not only of the festival, but being somebody that really became like one of the event organizers because I was helping Sky Zoo get to where he needed to be, corresponding with Trinity College, my contact there. So just wearing many different hats, being able to work with the students, talking about the book, and really just engage in culture. So I look back at all the gigs I've had, all the people I've worked with, all the institutions I've worked with. Trinity College, like this was definitely one of the best experiences I've ever had. Like being such a big fan of hip hop music and being, I don't want to say invited into the culture because I'm a part of the culture, but really taking those next steps, attaining those new levels in this hip hop culture, meeting different graffiti artists, MCs, poets, and then my wife came as well, so she and I were able to share the hotel room, and it was just had like a lot of fun. I know it meant a lot to her too, being included on that.
Right.
She's a curator of the culture. She has a blog on supporting artists, and she has multiple businesses that are just aimed at supporting different creative people. So I knew that I wanted to have her there, and just the fact that we were all able to hang out, like meeting different artists from Japan and South Africa, like I had mentioned. And it was just felt like this big community project. Like, sometimes you'll go to conferences or whatever, and they're like all this divisiveness. Like, there was none of that at Trinity College. It was just like one of the best experiences I've ever had. Like, just so much fun.
That is so cool. And I was looking at well, one, I was looking at the site, both sites. I was looking at the site for the festival as well as Trinity College. And I was just like, okay, how did Trinity College how did that come together? Because it presents, and let me know if I'm wrong, but it presents like a predominantly white institution. And so I was just
Right,
like,
right.
and it's in Connecticut. So it's like,
Uh,
how did that come together? You know what I'm saying? I'm just really curious.
yeah, I think from my knowledge of the school and the festival, like it's just something that's needed. Like hip hop is
Right.
worldwide, so it works, and it's just something they've been able to focus in on and continue doing. And I just want to see if there's like a continued partnership. Like it was
Right.
just so much fun. I see that there are a lot of young people that are into making beats, making music, yeah, so being able to have like this space where the professionals and the aspiring MCs can come together with students, like that, just I think makes all of it worthwhile.
That is really interesting. And then so along with the festival, do they then welcome any students that are in the hip hop game at all to like perform? Like what is like or is it just people from the outside that come in and do these performances?
No, they had student performances too.
Cool.
Yeah, there was like a huge break dancing segment of it, and they did really well on that, and just producing the beats and playing them. So there's a lot of student involvement, and I think we'd even go into the studio to have like the professional artists work with the students. Like the students would create the music, and then the artists would freestyle over them. So there was a lot of student engagement in terms of the event.
That is such a unique experience. And I think it's even more like unique because it's like it's in a place that you would not even imagine. I love
Yeah,
learning about stuff like this because in so many ways you think that like the hip hop culture in particular would not be revered in places like that. So that is wonderful. I love that. It really is. And it's like it's funny because we were just talking y'all before I hit record and I was telling him I went to the Kendrick Lamar concert and I love hip hop. Like that is just it's just something that's always been a part of my life. And then to know that, on an international level, the importance that Trinity College is, honing in on, to say it's not just, maybe it's not just, the tri-state area that's involved in
Mhm.
it or whatever, people all around. And, like, we know this, but to be celebrated in this way,
Yeah,
that is so,
definitely.
oh my gosh, that is so interesting. And so this is another thing I wanted I guess we're segueing into this because
Sure.
you mentioned this before and I was like, okay, wait a minute. So you went to now did you go to the Met Gala?
I wanted to go to Met. So there's a whole story behind
Okay, okay.
just looking at the exhibit, viewing it. Hung out with a good friend of mine, Brandon Fletcher, who's an animator. I had a photo shoot on the steps of the Met Museum, and I
Wow.
was connected through my great friend Diego Leon, who goes by the handle Dandy in the Bronx. We've been friends for years, and we're both in the menswear blogging space. He does it full time, and he's killing it. So I love the fact that he reached back. I was like, oh, like my friend would be into this. And we worked with this media company called NB Media, and they're specifically looking for people to be photographed and talk about Black dandyism, being a dandy that's also a person of color.
Right.
And he's Ecuadorian. I'm Black. And so just being able to come together on this photo shoot and work with this great media team was like really cool. And probably like 15 minutes before we got started, because I got there early, I'm walking by the Met Museum. And on the steps, I see a woman, in this gown and everything being photographed. And I squint. I'm like, oh, who's that? And then it hits me like it's Anne Hathaway.
Wow. What? That is amazing.
It was. I was like, okay, I'm clearly in the right place.
Hey.
Her media team was like not allowing for any photos or anything. But I tipped my hat to Anne, and she gave me the head nod back. I was like, "Oh, this is just
That is amazing.
yeah." So it was an incredible day. Big shout out to Diego and NB Media. I think we had allotted maybe an hour for the photo shoot,
Huh.
but we just hit our notes so quickly in terms of getting the photos, posing, doing what we had to do, like just different places around the Met's exterior. We just got it. Like we got the individual photos that they wanted of us, and we got group photos too. And it's just like a blast. I mean, I love suiting up and everything anyway,
Yeah.
but like with the intention of being photographed. And I think for me, I didn't really see the impact of the photo shoot until after everything came out. The editorial was amazing. Photos were really cool too. But I was talking to my uncle on my wife's side of the family, and he was like ecstatic about it because like I was wearing a suit that was double breasted, meaning like it folds over. It's linen, has this pattern into it on it, and it was like inspired by like the 1930s and 1940s.
Nice.
Like that dandyism like really spoke to him. And it's like just really cool that this stuff can like cross through different generations. And I created like a behind the scenes reel of it because they gave us the footage that they shot, and it like performed really well online. So like it just goes to show like, not a lot of people really dress up for work. For
Right.
me, I dress up for work, but I also do it because it's fun and it's
Mhm.
creative self expression. And it was also on theme for the Met Gala, which I thought was really cool too. I really enjoyed, especially Coleman Domingo's look. He's always
Oh
great.
gosh.
And then Janelle Monáe, I did an illustration of what Janelle Monáe wore, with the cape and everything that revealed something else, and posted it online. And she actually saw it. Like her team or anything didn't reach out or anything, but like just the fact that she caught it online, with all the tags and
Yeah.
stuff, was really cool. Had a blast with that. I saw the Superfine exhibit at the Met on the Black Dandyism that went hand in hand with the gala, and it was cool. It was really cool seeing the different styles of tailoring, and Condé Nast, sponsored it. Pharrell being involved, all these different amazing people, and it was just really cool walking through this exhibit. It's like black fashion and black style, which I live every day, and it's really an art form. So just really that's really gratifying going through this space, seeing all these different, like not even just suiting options, vintage and contemporary, but also things like they had it's like either it was a Knicks hat, yeah, just like the Knicks being such a cornerstone staple in Black fashion. So that was on display. But
Right.
like a lot of different things to see. Like it was really packed. And it wasn't just Black people. Like a lot of us were there, as
Right.
expected, which was great. But like white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, just checking out this incredible Black art. And it's just like, yeah, like we are the culture. Like Black people really move the needle forward in terms of fashion and style. And it's just the kind of thing that makes me proud to be Black, proud to express myself in this way where, I'm suited up and I'm able to, going back to the Trinity thing, like make an impression with these students because they're seeing me work with this big hip hop artist. I'm wearing my suit and tie and everything. Even Sky Zoo was like, "Oh, like you wear a suit all the time." And I didn't wear it, but like the entire thing was like, "Okay, I'm gonna be in front of these students. I'm gonna wear a suit. Like, all right, I'm gonna be going to the concert. Like, maybe I'll dress down a little bit." But just making that impression of being into Black Dandyism, being somebody that takes styling themselves seriously, where I'll wake up and like maybe it's gray outside like it is today, so I'm gonna wear something that's red, because I want to like
Yes.
elevate my mood. So like it's very conscious. It's like that happy marriage of like curating a wardrobe and getting to the point where it's like I don't even have to think about it. Like I have a few looks in my wardrobe where I can just grab stuff in the morning and put it together knowing that it's gonna work.
Okay. This is so fascinating to me because I know the last time we spoke, we talked about the dandyism and it was for a brief
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I wanna know more about this." And then once I saw, the Met Gala this year, and I was just like, "Oh my god, like, this is bigger than I imagined." You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Like what you were saying, it's like, we as Black people, we move the needle when it comes to culture on so many levels, and it's watching all those Black people on that stage, it was just like, wow. It was you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I've seen the Met Gala, in previous years, and maybe it's because I'm a Black person, but I'm being biased, but I don't think it's that. I think because, like what we were saying, we create and move the culture, and it you just saw, like, the importance of how we make change
Mm-hmm.
happening right and that night. It was just like, this is so much bigger than what we've normally seen. It was just so beautiful, and I love the fact also that you brought up that intentionally wore a suit for the festival.
It was
And
actually this look.
I love it. I love that because I feel like I said, I didn't grow up with that. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
remember seeing pictures of my aunts and uncles from, like, the 20s and 30s.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, "Wow." The fact and it was just a no-brainer to them, like, yeah, that's how we dress. It's like if we were leaving
Yeah.
the house,
Yeah.
we were dressing to impress because,
Mm-hmm.
well, for at least for my family, they grew up in poverty, and so for them
Yeah.
to dress, it just not only it, elevated their mood, like you were saying, and just kind of, gave them a sense of, why am I blanking on the word? But just, gave them a sense of just kind of, like, feeling good about themselves.
Yeah. It's empowering.
Empowering, yes, but it also showed that, like, regardless of my situation, I
Mm-hmm.
still am gonna look good, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
You know? And it also makes me think of Dapper Dan and his story.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
like, this man, because I remember I saw an interview of him, I think it's like maybe a month or so ago, and that's basically what he was saying. He's like, "A lot of my clothing came from the Goodwill, but I turned it around to be
Yeah.
beautiful, like, basically work of art, and people
Right.
would have never known that I lived, in an impoverished situation." So I just and that's another thing too for me, and I'll let you talk because I'm just, like, going
No, this
on.
is good. Yeah,
I'm
this is
just
fine.
so excited about this because I also feel like as Black people, we make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And it's not even just something, it's something beautiful. It's just so beautiful to me. I love it?
Yeah. You brought up another really good point too. Like having a certain financial standing or not, and still finding ways to be creative
Yeah.
with one's wardrobe. Taking what I'm wearing today, like the most expensive garment I'm wearing is actually the shirt, which
Mhm.
is bespoke. Like a friend of mine, I had him make the shirt for me. I picked out the fabric, I got measured for it and everything. And it was the first bespoke garment I've ever had. But I knew for me, like, it was important for like not just my brand, but like what I wanted to create with my wardrobe to have something like that. So like be strategic about where I want to invest my money.
Mm.
And people like think about suiting and everything as it being like really expensive. Like you can go secondhand or you can go to a consignment shop or something like that and find something more affordable. Like I'm wearing a wool suit today. Wool is a great fabric for suiting. Used to buy it from this brand. You know, they got discontinued and everything, but like their price point was like really good. I think the suit was probably like 250, maybe a little less. And then I went to my tailor, and that's another thing I preach about a lot is like build a great relationship with your tailor because you can get clothes that fit you better, and if it fits you better, you're gonna feel better as well.
Right.
And then even like wearing a pocket square in my pocket, styling that a specific way. Like I could have the same suit as the next person, but like I'm going to
Mm.
style it differently because I'm an artist, like because my background, maybe the way I grew up. So it's like suits can be like unifying the sense of like, okay, you're going to a black tie event, like it has to be a certain set of rules, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, like there's always a way to find that creative expression in
Mm.
one's wardrobe. And that's something I think I see it coming back more. We all had the pandemic and everything. Everybody was in sweats and stuff. I'm always gonna like wearing a suit to like a work gig or like a cocktail hour or taking my wife out on a date because it's like I'm respecting her, I'm respecting the venue, and I'm respecting myself.
Mm.
Like I used to be, I think, more rigid in terms of the way I dress. Like, oh, it has to be a suit every day, like every day, every day. Like now, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna dress for the event. I'm gonna dress for the occasion. I have this thing I do now where if it's like formal but not too formal, like I might lose the tie and just leave the shirt buttoned all the way to the top. Like it's called hair tie. Like it gives the illusion of wearing a tie, but like not actually having one. So there's like different ways to play around with it. Like suits don't have to be rigid; they can be like a lot of fun.
Right. This is so cool. And I think as it relates to younger people, do you find that they are actually like kind of like being drawn to like to this type of like experience of wanting to dress up more? Or is it like have you noticed that at all? Because the reason why, yeah. Yeah, because the reason why I'm asking is because I feel like, especially when I was younger and like in college and stuff like that, like you said, I mean, I kind of went back to the pandemic days because I was in sweats. Like I
Yeah.
wore a t-shirt to like the lecture, and it's like I'm wondering if kids are actually transitioning that mindset. Like even though I'm going to this lecture for the day, I'm still going to dress up. I'm going to change it up. It's just I just wondered if that was like a thing that that younger people are now gravitating towards, or if they're just kind of sticking to like how I was dressing with these sweatpants and my little Nike tennis shoes.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just saying that young people being interested in dressing well, dressing for their personality. I definitely saw some kids that were, very dressed to the nines for like my daughter's graduation. She graduated from Emmanuel College recently, so just
Congratulations.
seeing like, thanks, some of the kids styled in suits and light blue dress shirt, navy suit, that type of thing. Like it's great to see. I love seeing that these traditions are like showing up in different generations.
Right. And I think that is so important because, like I said, for me, like I didn't know up until like we spoke, and then now the Met Gala and all these different things that this was something that many people were like even interested in. So this for me, this is just like I'm just like so excited to know that this is a possibility because I think I said this to you in the last conversation. It's like me trying to put together outfits like, it sometimes it's a and not that it's completely challenging, but to really, like, be that detailed, it's like I would need someone to, like, really kinda, like, handhold me through that process, and so I all that to say, for people who would be interested in that, like, do you offer anything like that where you could help people with styling, or do you, like, give resources as it relates to that?
I think both. Like I haven't
Okay.
really styled people outside of the retail work that I've had. I used to work for Bloomingdale's and the Thai
Okay.
bar, so I would style customers and stuff like that. But as a service, yeah, I would absolutely love to do it, and always willing to pass on resources for things I've picked up and know. I read a lot of books, It's funny that you mentioned Dapper Dan because I am getting through his book. Got to pick it back up and finish it, but his
Uh,
story is really great. Squire and GQ are big influences for my style. I
mhm.
think especially their older stuff. Their new stuff is like I think kind of catered to a certain audience in terms of celebrity culture and stuff like that.
Okay.
But Esquire has this book on. It's pretty much like personal style and like dressing for the office versus like dressing for after hours or the weekend. And that look really helped me just kind of break down the different ways I want to dress. Like going back to dressing for the occasion again. I work with a really cool brand called Society of Threads, and they make these really ornate, flashy dress shirts and short sleeve shirts. Like they'll have floral patterns, a lot of floral patterns actually, which I like to integrate into like some of my suiting and my tuxedos. So like my wife and I are going to Miami again for a creative networking event and the American Black Film Festival. So those are usually the shirts I pull from first because when I think of Miami, I think like floral patterns and pastels and colors. So I'll have like 5 or 6 of those shirts like in my travel bag. So it's like I'm not just wearing what I usually wear. Like I
Mhm.
like to go to either a new place or a familiar place and kind of dress, molding myself to the culture that I'm around.
Nice. And excuse me, y'all that are listening. Maybe some of you are like, what is dandy? Like, you guys keep throwing this around. Like, what are y'all talking about? So, if you could just let people know, what is this whole idea around dressing like in the way of dandy? I could be completely butchering that, but just what is dandy? Like, from what you know, how did it start? And like, how did you even really get interested in it? Because I don't think we even talked about that really.
Sure. So for me, I think it's the whole culture. I think it's being well read, being curious about life. I think of like old school values, like in the way of being respectful, chivalry, holding doors, and stuff like that, but also kind of having like contemporary values mixed in, like not being misogynist, not being A, B, or C that might not work from like the 40s and bringing that into today's world. So I think of like, for me, it's old school tailoring with a twist. Like I really look to the 50s and 60s in terms of how I put things together and how I dress. But sometimes I'll add some contemporary elements to that. And then I also think one of my ways of being a dandy is like really being into the arts, like to create art. But I'm also able to appreciate art, like which is why my friend and I went to the Met. Because for me, experiencing works of art inspires all the other things that I'm doing.
Mm.
I think since the last time we spoke on here, I've started vlogging like a lot. I've got a camera that I work with that's called the Pocket 3. So it's like this really tiny camera that has a gimbal attached to it. So that piece of tech has helped me have more confidence in like filmmaking and making short form content versus long form content. And it was something I was doing for work. It was something I was doing for my style page, but I wasn't really like considering creating videos to journal. And one of the things I like to talk about is style. Like, okay, why am I wearing this suit today? What's the intention? And then showing my audience on YouTube and my potential audience on YouTube, like why I may wear a particular suit for a particular day. And also telling the story in video form. Like maybe I don't want to spend like a few months or whatever making a comic book. Maybe I want to shoot a video instead that will tell you the same story.
That is so cool. The thing is, like you were saying, YouTube is such a great platform for that type of stuff because you have the shorts, and then you like you said, you can do the long content. That sounds so. What is your is it like handle? Is it called handle on
Yeah, it's
YouTube?
handle.
Yeah.
It's
What
just
is your?
at Raheem Nelson. Yep.
Oh, say okay. So I will definitely follow you. And guys, you have to follow Raheem as well. This we have to talk when you come back. We'll talk more.
Be
All right?
another.
No, that definitely will be. There will definitely be another. Seriously.
Yeah, this is so cool.
My gosh, that's so cool. So once again, like if you can let everyone know, we talked about your YouTube, but even bring that up again. Let
Sure,
everyone
sure.
know where they can find you, social media, all the things.
Hmm.
Take it
Yep.
away.
Sure, sure. So my website is raheemnelson.com. That's RAHEEM Nelson.com. That has my art portfolio. If you want to check out prints, it all links there. The YouTube is at Raheem Nelson. Instagram, I have a few channels. My mentor suggested that I split things up into photo, art, and styling. So the art one is Raheem Nelson Art. The photo one, Raheem Nelson Photo, and then the style, Raheem Nelson Style. Those pages are all updated regularly. The photography is a little more casual, so it might be like behind the scenes photos and things like that. The styling, just what I'm wearing every day, putting that together, working with brands, that sort of thing. And the art channel, it's everything from the graphic recording work that I've talked about on here, different paintings I'm creating. I'm looking at doing an art show in the near future, hopefully on my travels to Barcelona, and then also creating some studies of Picasso. So all those things will be on the channel too.
That is so cool. Listen, and all this will be in the show notes, y'all. Raheem, every time. I was so happy when you reached out to me because I'm telling you, like, it's been a while since I've like actually had an
Yeah.
interview with someone. I've been doing like a
Okay.
lot of solo work. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's like of all the people to like bring back, like this is
No, it just felt right.
awesome.
It just
And
felt
no,
right. I'm glad it
and it
worked.
it was divine timing. I'm telling you. Like seriously. So thank you so much. This
My
was
pleasure.
amazing. Oh my gosh. Y'all, and thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Eat Me podcast. I will see you next week. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.